What is going on, guys? So today I am going to be doing another answering your DMs video. So I'm just going to go through my Instagram DMs, answer some of you guys' questions, and then some of them will be made into this video. So if you guys don't mind, we're just going to go ahead and start this thing off and answer the first question. It's actually a two-part question, but this is one that I get a lot. And the question is, if you are a non-combat MOS and you get deployed at a time like now when we're not specifically in a big war, what are the chances that you're going to end up in combat? I get this question all the time. I haven't made a specific video on it. This is kind of a specific video, I guess, but this is kind of like a weird question. So if you join the military and you go active duty, you know, you're going to get deployed in your first contract. That's almost a guarantee. There are going to be some people who will stay stateside and they will not get deployed overseas in their contract. But for the most part, if you join the military, you decide to join the military, you should expect to deploy at least once in your first contract. Now, if you are a non-combat MOS and you get deployed, well, everywhere in the world, we're not having these big conflicts and stuff. So you could get deployed somewhere and you're just gonna still be doing like training exercises and, you know, just nothing too combat related, just securing the area and everything like that. As far as combat goes for non-combat MOSs right now, the chances are slim to none. Obviously, for the people who actually get deployed and for the people who actually get put into these combat scenarios, the chances are going to be high because that's just your circumstance. But if you're a non-combat MOS, you probably shouldn't expect to be put in a combat scenario right now, but you should always be okay with that if it were to happen. So you're probably going to get deployed. I would say the chances of you being put in a combat scenario if you're a non-combat MOS is very low. Don't have the statistics on that. I don't think there is any real statistics on that, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it. And then the other part of this question is, even if you don't join now, don't civilians have a chance of getting drafted in the event of a war? Thanks so much for your time. So yes, technically, you know, in the United States, we still have to sign up for the draft. All the males have to sign up whenever they turn 18 years old, and you could theoretically get drafted into the military if we go into some big major war. But right now, the Army, the United States military, is an all volunteer force. So everybody in the Army right now has volunteered to actually be in the Army. So the draft is something that I guess we still have, but we don't need it right now. I can't foresee a reason why we would, because even if we were to go into like this big humongous conflict, right, I think obviously we would still need more boots on the ground and stuff like that, and that's kind of where the reserves and the guard comes into play. Because if we kind of go to a war, then all the reserve soldiers and all the people who are on that IRR for the end of their contract. So if you do a 4-year contract, you're still going to have a 4-year commitment after that. So if we go to a big all-out World War III or whatever, then the reserve, the guard, the IRR soldiers, those are going to be the people called up, and that's probably going to fulfill what we need, because in today's military, a lot of the conflict is basically solved, I guess, by drones and, you know, indirect fire, things like that, where you don't actually need boots on the ground, somebody shooting, which, yes, we do need the infantry soldiers, but the need for specific large numbers of soldiers isn't as high as it used to be back in the day in the older wars. So I guess that was a little bit more serious question, but I got another one here that's pretty simple. And if you are assigned a duty station, does the military pay for you to relocate to the new duty station? Or if you first join the military, does the Army basically pay for you to, you know, move your family to whatever duty station you're going to be at? That's literally this question. Does the Army pay for you to relocate? The answer is yes. They will cover the kind of expected fees and everything like that. There's probably like a set amount of money that they're going to put aside, and if you kind of do extravagant things or you have like all this extra stuff that's just above and beyond, you might have to pay a little bit extra for you to do that. But at the end of the day, you know, people ask me if the Army pays for your flight to go to basic training. Like, yes, of course they pay for all of your travel to go somewhere on orders. If they order you to go somewhere, they are going to pay for you to go and do that. The only difference here is if you are in the reserves or the guard, let's say I decided that I was going to switch units to somewhere else across the country, the military is not going to pay for me to relocate over there because that was my decision to go over there. But if I was active duty and I'm stationed at Fort Bragg and then all of a sudden I get orders to go to Fort Hood in Texas, then I'm not going to have to pay for that relocation to Texas. The Army is going to pay for me to relocate to Texas. So we got Devin here, who has been lifting weights apparently for about a year, and he's saying that he's lost a little bit of strength trying to prepare for the military and is wondering, how do I do PT and still maintain my strength? Well, what I'm assuming you're talking about here is you're talking about really, focusing on the push-ups and the run and the sit-ups, so body weight exercise, so calisthenics, things like that. Calisthenics is something great for, getting in shape and, working on your physique and getting really good at body weight exercises, but it's not the greatest thing ever for strength, right? Just because you can do a couple extra pull-ups or something doesn't mean that you're gonna be able to bench more or squat more or, things like that, where you're really trying to lift heavy and do things that you would consider, strength related exercise. What you're probably talking about is really going into the gym and lifting some weights, because if you're doing a whole bunch of push-ups, if you increase your push-ups from 30 push-ups in like my 60-second push-up challenge to 50 push-ups in my 60-second push-up challenge, that's a pretty good increase in push-ups, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your bench press is going to go up a lot. So how you can maintain strength while also, increasing your PT score, that is the way that you can do that is by doing both. You got to focus on the PT stuff, the calisthenics, the bodyweight exercises, the running, the push-ups, the pull-ups. If you're trying to prepare for the ACFT PT test, those kind of things. And then simultaneously lifting weights in the gym. How you're gonna get stronger is by using resistance training. Push-ups, sit-ups, those aren't resistive training exercises or whatever. You're gonna get stronger by having some kind of resistance in the form of weights. So what has probably happened is you have been preparing for all this stuff and you've been doing body weight exercises and you have kind of slacked off on the weightlifting side of things, and so therefore obviously the weightlifting, the strength and all that is going to degrade just a little bit, even if your push-ups are increasing. Because I could, for me myself, if my bench is 330 pounds but then I stop doing bench press and then I decide that I'm just going to do push-ups from now on, then my push-ups are going to increase but my bench press is going to decrease. So here's a question regarding MEPS, and something that I see a lot of people having an issue with, which is where your paperwork with your recruiter does not meet what the paperwork at MEPS says. So reading this off here is, when you go to MEPS the first time, do you get a chance to clarify the things that are not accurate in the pre-screening papers from the recruiter without being flat out disqualified? His says his recruiter's kind of got him in a bad spot. The recruiter let him, I guess, put misinformation or whatever on the paperwork with the recruiter, and what he wants to do is clarify and change things at MEPS. And I'm just kind of telling you, he doesn't have specifically what it is here, but in the vast majority of cases, if you go to MEPS and the paperwork that you fill out at MEPS or whatever you try to clarify at MEPS is different than what you have told your recruiter, what you have in documentation with your recruiter, if that's different, then I would say 90 to 95% of the time you are going to get DQ'd. You are going to get sent home and you're going to get sent back to your recruiter to fill out the paperwork and everything all over again. So I suggest to all of you out there, get the paperwork straightened out with your recruiter first. Even if they're trying to be a pain or whatever and like, oh, that's not a big deal. If it's a big deal to you, get it straightened out with your recruiter first and then go to MEPS. Another little simple question here is, can you have lotion or moisturizer during basic training? And the answer is no, right? So anything like that, you're just not gonna get to have, the only time I guess it would be okay is if you have a severe skin, dryness issue or something, and you go to sick call and they basically prescribe to you that you can actually have that, then it would be okay. But basically, no, like you're not gonna be able to have that. You can't have, like ibuprofen or just anything like that. Just think that you can't have anything, and that's gonna be kind of how it is. So if you guys cannot hear it, it is raining outside, and yeah, that's just gonna be, it's gonna force me to finish this video off. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this answering your DMs. If your question made it onto here, that's freaking awesome. I hope somebody else's question helped you out. But yeah, it's raining. I don't want to keep on going if it's just going to be, you know, making annoying sounds and distracting me and whatnot. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That'd be awesome. If you want to stick around some more videos, hit the subscribe button. That would be even better. And this is going to be probably about a bi-weekly thing. So every other week, I'm going to do this just so you guys know. I don't know why I always include these things in the outro, because there's only like 5% of you that are watching this right now or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, if you made it to this video, hit that like button. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. Send me your questions on there if you haven't already. And I will see you guys later.